A lot of people feel that if you give junkies clean needles, they're just going to continue using heroin, whereas if you don't supply them with any needles, they'll never use it. They have no idea or understanding of the substance abuse schism or the problem in the community. That a junkie's a junkie and they're going to use no matter what, and better to give them clean needles rather than have them using dirty needles and spreading HIV.
Disapproval is not a solution to a problem. What we have here now are a bunch of laws which make drug users into criminals, and it isn't stopping anyone from using drugs. And in some cases, as with syringe possession laws, they've created an epidemic. People don't have access to sterile syringes, but the lack of access is not stopping them from injecting. Instead, what it causes them to do is share the available syringes, and as a result, we have now an epidemic of blood-borne infections, hepatitis, HIV.
Harm reduction is about a common underlying principle that public policy has to focus on reducing the negative consequences of drug use at the same time that it respects both the individual, the addicts, the users' basic human dignity, and respects society's needs for some degree of order in its neighborhoods and its cities. That's what harm reduction is about.
The Lower East Side Harm Reduction Center has a series of programs that we offer for people who use drugs and for people living with HIV, and also preventing people from contracting HIV. One of our programs is the Lower East Side Needle Exchange Program, which is one of 5 legally sanctioned needle exchange programs in New York City. We started off as an underground exchange in 1990, and we became legal in July 1992. And over the last 2 years, we've exchanged over 1 million syringes. We've registered about 8,000 individuals. We've made thousands, literally thousands of referrals for health services, including drug treatment and primary care. And we've introduced basically concrete services to people who have opted out of social services or been thrown out of social services. And we do that by creating a safe environment for people to come into, to a place where people are treated with respect. And for us, it's a strategy of reducing the harm, the pain, and the consequences of drug use and HIV on the general community, not just on the individual.
ICARE is an acronym that stands for International Coalition for Addicts, Resources, and Enlightenment. And it's a newly formed user union that is interested in the progressive reform of drug policies and laws, and interested in being a self-help and resource network for the using and non-using community.
What kind of things are you working on with your group?
We're interested in getting a treatment-on-demand approach in this country implemented, which can be considered harm reduction. You can't have a war on drugs and then expect to not give people treatment. There are also some efforts being made into alternative treatments, such as Ibogaine, and we would like that research stepped up. We want the federal government, for instance, to admit that needle exchange does work in preventing the spread of HIV, and it's about time that they federally fund needle exchange.
How did you first hear about the needle exchange program and the Harm Reduction Center?
I heard about harm reduction and needle exchange through Jerry Baez. We met at the Manhattan Center for Living, and I was kind of stressing out, and he could see it. It was written all over my face. He suggested I come down to try acupuncture, and I did. And
How many times did you try it?
I was there every day. That's how I ended up going for the training up at Lincoln, was that I was there so often. They were really sick of seeing me, so they said, why don't you go get a job? And I did.
This is a nice day to do this outside, you know, this is like really the perfect...
should be there today.
How many times can you do it a year?
What do you mean? 3 times?
Like,
you do it once a day is like really good.
Really?
You do it once a day for like 2 or 3 weeks, your life will change. You know what this is doing? This is like, this is like turning a key in a door. What you're doing is like releasing your own energy, putting yourself in a more natural state of balance, your balance. Because you know, like energy is sort of like circulation. Everything gets blocked up if you're not breathing right.
The people that do come in, what kinds of things do they say acupuncture does for them?
Well, there are people that, I mean, I see the most incredible things happen. I see miracles every day. Every day. I see people that have gotten off of heroin using acupuncture. I see people that have life-challenging illnesses that use acupuncture as a way to take it one day at a time. They use acupuncture as, you know, part of, you know, taking care of themselves.
See, it's kind of the way we look at it. Everybody has natural talents, you know? Just want people to be able to express themselves. This helps.
That's good. You can notice every person is different.
Everybody's different. Everybody's got God-given talents, you know? So that's what we try to do, I think, at Needle Exchange, just provide resources for people, you know, without all the usual moralizing and hogwash. Okay, so you might feel a little like sting in the beginning and go right away. Don't worry about it. Okay, take a deep breath. And exhale. How's that? Feel anything? Cool.
I take a deep breath all the time?
Yeah. Well, it helps you to relax. It's not really necessary. I mean, my doctor just kind of shoves them in. But, you know, deep breathing really relaxes folks, so. Especially when you exhale, man, that's the time when you're like the most kind of relaxed. Everything just kind of gives out.
Everybody from all walks of life come to the clinic, but I mean, it would basically be people that are looking for a tool to manage their stress. They may or may not have drug-related issues. They may or may not have HIV-related stress of any type. You see mothers with children on their laps. It's fabulous.
So you're talking about the Harm Reduction Center now. Are you still
up
talking about Lincoln? Okay.
Lincoln, and you can see the same thing on a smaller scale over at Harm Reduction. But you know.
And tell me where is the taste?
a cure for pain.
This is how I understand my work in harm reduction. I believe that there's a line, an imaginary line that's been drawn in the sand between people who use drugs and non-users, and that what happens is the non-users stand on their side of the line and they say whatever is happening on the other side of the line is because they use drugs. We don't need to understand anything about it. We don't need to know about what's going on among drug users. All we need to know is that they're using drugs and they should stop. The result is when something like an epidemic comes along, there's no solution except to say they should get off drugs. That's not a solution. It isn't stopping anyone. For who knows how long people have been abusing substances, no one's ever come up with an answer for why they do or how to make them stop. But what's very clear, I think a good example of harm reduction the general public is familiar with is actually the designated driver. You know, that among drinkers now, although it doesn't really happen very effectively, one of the people isn't supposed to get quite as drunk as the others, and they get to drive everyone else home. That's actually a form of harm reduction. That's saying, we know this is going to happen. What can we do to reduce the harm that's happening within the context? In the same way, we know that people are going to inject drugs. It's very easy to stop the spread of blood-borne infections if you provide them with sterile syringes so they don't have to share.
Harm reduction is about minimizing harm in all areas of your life and increasing, bettering your life by having access to information so you make informed choices.
Well, of course, I'm a librarian, and we believe that whether we're giving out medical information or any kind of information, I stake my life on the fact that information is power, and everybody should have equal access to that information. So whether it's to improve your life or to reduce the harms that are in your life, be they physical, mental, environmental, you know, economic, whatever, if you have access to that information, then maybe you can make a change. Sure, absolutely.